Time to lock in. This is the day that I lock in. Videos.
You know, there's millions of people without the health insurance they need.
I get it. You feel like it's too pricey.
What if I told you that this could be you by the end of this video?
Wow, that could be me? That's crazy. I need to do this. Wow. That's crazy.
What if I told you that this could be you? Things that a player can learn. There's tons of unique PvP-based game modes that exist, and with massive servers like MCC Island and Tubnet coming out, having the skills to dominate the battlefield will earn you respect and recognition as a Minecraft player. However, if you're new to PvP on the latest version, or you're a 1.8 player who's trying it out for the first time, where do you even start? In this video, I'm going to be showing you the fundamental knowledge you need to have to get into PvP on the latest version. Do note that this is a beginners-oriented guide, and while this video isn't going to automatically turn you into a tier 1 sword player or anything like that, the purpose of this video is to help set you up for success if you choose to get into the Minecraft PvP community. With that being said though, there's a lot to unpack, so let's get started.
These are the Nuance Audio glasses.
What is this, bro?
And they're not just stylish,
like
they
nobody's
actually
buying
help you hear
these,
better
bro.
as well.
At Evergy, we're
What
focused
is
not
this,
just on
bro?
what we power,
Like, I'm trying to
but
get a
on
good
who we
Minecraft.
power.
Right, get in the settings.
Alright, so before we get started, I wanted to show you guys some settings that you probably want to change before you get into PvP. The first one,
What
and
is
this is
it?
something I really wish I knew when I first started, is going into options, accessibility settings, and making sure FOVFX is set to off. FOVFX is also known as dynamic FOV on the previous
Wow.
versions, and it basically makes your
Okay.
FOV change whenever
I
you
got
start
you.
sprinting or you have status effects like speed or slowness, for example. On 1.8, I usually have FOVFX on, but for whatever reason on this version, having FOVFX on makes your FOV feel super buggy while you're PvPing, and it's not a good experience at all. If you're coming from 1.8 like me and you're used to having dynamic FOV on, do yourself a favor and disable it on this version. Trust me, it will make your life so much better while PvPing. While we're here, also make sure that auto jump is set to off, and I'd also recommend using toggle sprint. However, I already have toggle sprint enabled on Lunar Client. Since you have FOVFX set to off, it's gonna make your FOV feel really low, so I'd recommend raising your FOV. I have mine set at 95, but I'd say
I have
anywhere
mine set
within
at
the range of
90.
90 FOV is good. Another thing you want to do is go into controls, go into mouse settings, and make sure that raw input is enabled. And finally, you want to go
But
into
what's
video
raw
settings and make
input?
sure that attack indicator is set to crosshair. I know my video settings menu might look completely different from yours
My
if you're playing on
crosshair.
vanilla Minecraft,
Fun fact, my crosshair is 6'7".
but you can easily find the attack indicator setting in your video settings.
3 types of attack. Alright, let's see. Another ad. That was funny. They made a meme reference. Can I get a, that was funny. Alright, chapter 2.
Let's start off by talking about the 3 basic types of attacks that are commonly used in Minecraft PvP.
What are
Each of
they?
these attacks have their own sound effects, so you can know what type of attack you're using against another player. The first type of attack
Okay.
are sweep hits.
Sweep hits. Oh, that's a sound. Let me listen.
Sweep hits happen when you attack a player without moving, while moving at a walking speed, or if you haven't reset your sprint. Sweep hits
Okay,
don't deal
I got
any
you,
additional
Miguel.
damage,
You're
and
my
they deal
boy.
low knockback. In Minecraft PvP, you generally want to avoid sweep hitting. However, they can be
What?
good in some very specific situations, like if you're intentionally trying to deal low knockback to another player. But for the most part, sweep hits generally aren't that good, and in most situations should be avoided. The next type
Okay.
of attack are
Alright, I
sprint
got you.
hits.
Sprint hits.
Sprint hits happen when you attack a player while sprinting. Sprint hits don't deal any extra damage, but deal much more knockback than sweep hits. This makes sprint hits really good for
Whoa.
getting double
That's
hits,
how you
starting and holding
combo.
combos, knocking players away from you, and knocking players into the void if you're playing a void-based game mode. Keep in mind that when you start sprinting, only your first
That's how
hit will
people
be a
play
sprint
Bad
hit.
Wars.
The rest of your hits will be sweep hits unless you sprint reset, but we'll get back to that later. The last type of attack that I want to talk
Crit
about are crit hits.
This noise is so satisfying. When I hear that noise, it makes me bust.
Crit hits deal low knockback, but deal 50% more damage with whatever weapon you're using. This makes
50%?
them really strong for shredding
Ooh.
other players' health. Crit hits are performed the exact same way as sweep hits, but with the additional requirement that you have to be falling to actually perform a crit hit. You can get crit hits by falling after jumping or falling after taking damage. Do note though that in Minecraft Combat, sprint hits take priority over crit hits. If you start a sprint, even if you hit another player while falling, you'll get a sprint hit instead of a crit hit.
Oh, so that's why when I run up on people and I try to crit them, it doesn't work.
Oftentimes, you'll
Now
need to
I
let go
know.
of W while attacking the other player, or stop sprinting if you want to get a crit hit. Anyways, these are the 3 basic types of attacks used in Minecraft PvP, regardless of what game mode that you're playing. It's really useful to pay attention to your audio while you're PvPing, so you can hear what types of attacks you're using on another player, and you can hear what types of attacks they're using on you.
These are the nuance audio
If I were with that guy, I would ask if I can listen to my mango funk while PvPing, because it helps me focus.
glasses. And they're not just stylish,
Mango, mango, mango.
they actually help you hear better as well.
My adventure starts now. Gold hunters. Whoa, look at those 2 testicles. Ooh. Whoa. What? That's crazy, bro. Sprint resetting.
Generally, when you're not crit hitting your opponent, you want to be sprint hitting them so you can deal more knockback to them. This is because in Minecraft PvP, regardless if you're playing on the latest version of combat or using 1.8 combat mechanics, a general rule is that the more knockback that you deal to another player, the easier it will be to get extra hits on them. This is why in Minecraft PvP, sprint hits are essential for getting double hits and starting combos. In Minecraft PvP, when you start sprinting, only your first attack will actually be a sprint hit, and the rest of your attacks will either be sweep hits or crit hits. If you want to consistently sprint hit your opponent, you need to learn how to sprint reset. Sprint resetting is when you stop and start a sprint after each attack so that your next attack will always be a sprint hit. There's a lot of ways that you can sprint reset, a lot of which that aren't really that practical at all in PvP, but the 2 most common ways to sprint reset are by W tapping and S tapping. W tapping is when you let go of your W key and press it again in quick succession. Doing this with the right timing will allow you to sprint reset every time you W tap. S tapping is similar to W tapping, except after you release your W key, you quickly tap your S key before alternating back to your W key. Doing this will let you sprint reset and will also distance yourself a little bit from your opponent. Now, if you're a 1.8 PvPer, you might be thinking, well, Intel, I already know all about sprint resetting and W tapping. This stuff is easy to me. Well, that's where you're wrong. The timing for things like W tapping and S tapping is
I'm booty cheeks at all PvP, so I don't know.
different on the latest version of PvP when compared to 1.8 PvP. On 1.8, while W tapping, you can hit another player while your W key is released and you'll still get a sprint hit. This is the way that most 1.8 PvPers are used to W tapping, but this doesn't work on the latest version of PvP. If you try W tapping or S tapping on the latest version as you would in 1.8, a lot of your hits will result in sweep hits instead of sprint hits. A lot of 1.8 PvPers really struggle on the latest version of PvP because they have to retrain their timings for sprint resetting if they want to constantly get sprint hits. The way that I learned how to time my W taps and S taps correctly was to let go of my W key and left click at the same time. It's gonna take some practice to get the timing down, but learning how to sprint reset is one of the first fundamental
But you know, practice makes perfect.
skills that you need to have in Minecraft PvP. This is why I said to pay attention to your audio while you're PvPing, because if you hear that you're getting sweep hits instead of sprint hits as you're sprint resetting, you'll know that your timing is wrong and you'll be able to correct yourself.
Another advertisement. Can I get it?
Prototype.
Attack speed.
The next fundamental skill you need to have in Minecraft PvP is mastering your attack speed. Whenever you swing a weapon, an attack cooldown indicator will appear below your crosshair. If you swing your weapon before the cooldown is finished, you'll deal less damage, and if you swing too early, you'll deal less knockback as well. Different weapons have different cooldowns, so you're gonna have to time your attacks differently depending on what weapon you're using. So does this mean that you should always wait for the attack cooldown to disappear before you attack again? Well, not exactly. If your attack indicator is at least 85% filled up, you can still sprint hit and crit crit hit someone. There's a lot of situations where attacking before the cooldown is finished, or delaying a hit even after the cooldown is finished, can give you an advantage in PvP. One example of this is when it comes to comboing another player. Depending on who you fight, sprint hitting the other player when your attack indicator is at least 85% filled up can help you get double hits and hold combos easier than if you were to wait for the attack indicator to be completely filled up. One important thing to keep in mind is that if you sprint hit another player too fast, you'll hit them into the ground instead of hitting them up into the air. If this happens, you won't be able to hold a combo on the other player. When it comes to combos, something that a really good player told me is that you want to hit the player at a speed where you're not hitting them into the ground, but if you attack them any faster, they'll start to get hit into the ground. Having this perfect attack speed is going to enable you to hold other players in a combo. Do keep in mind that this perfect attack speed is not the same for every player that you fight. Generally, the laggier that another player is, the more you will have to wait between each attack to be able to hit them without them getting hit into the ground. This is why high ping players feel much harder to combo than low ping players. Another example of not following your attack
My ping is mostly 6,000, but it's OP meta.
Indicator is when you intentionally delay your attack after the attack indicator cooldown is gone while hit selecting, but I'll talk about that later in the video. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is not to constantly rely off of your attack indicator to decide when you need to attack. There's situations where attacking earlier or later will put you at an advantage, and you'll learn that the more that you PvP.
These are the nuance audio
I keep getting
glasses,
the same ad, bro.
and they're not just
like,
stylish,
nobody's gonna use
they
these.
actually help you hear better as well.
These are not hearing aids.
At Evergy, we're focused not just on what we power, but on who we power.
What
Right
even
here
is
in our
Evergy?
community. We provide payment assistance to our neighbors who need it. Invest in organizations and people.
I'm gonna crack that guy.
Okay, so now that I've talked about sprint resetting and your attack speed, let's combine both of those skills when it comes to comboing. Comboing is getting 2 or more consecutive hits on your opponent while they can't hit you. Let's first talk about starting a combo, and I'm gonna show you guys 3 basic methods you can use to start a combo. With all 3 of these methods, you're going to be sprint hitting your opponent to start a combo, so keep that in mind. The first method is by baiting an attack out of your opponent when you go in to fight them. You're basically trying to get your opponent to miss an
I do
attack
that
on you by making them
sometimes.
think that you're about to attack them. You can do this by stopping your movement, backing up, or moving from side to side. It's basically like playing mind games with your opponent. As soon as you see them miss their attack, go in for a
Bro,
sprint hit
Bucky
and you'll have the
Bartini is
opportunity
shocked.
to combo them. Another method is to try to get a close to 3 block hit on your opponent. If you didn't know, 3 blocks is the maximum distance you can be from another player or entity to be able to reach them with your attacks. To put it simply, you're trying to get a really far hit on your opponent where they won't be able to hit you back. The last method that I want to talk about that you can use to combo another player is called hit selecting. Hit selecting is when you intentionally wait for the other player to attack you first and you sprint hit them immediately after. If timed correctly, this will let you start a combo. I don't know why it works, but it just does. If both you and your enemy are
That's
hitting each
crazy.
other, you can intentionally delay your next attack to be able to hit select them into a combo. This is something you see a lot of very skilled sword players do in their fights. Also, if
Like
another player is
me.
backing up or their movement is stopped, then it's really easy to start a combo on them, so keep that in mind. Now, starting a combo is one thing, but how do you actually hold a combo? Holding a combo is a combination of 3 things: sprint resetting and attack speed, which I've already talked about, and spacing, which I'm about to get into. Spacing is basically the distance between you and your opponent after every hit. If your spacing is good, you can hold another player in a combo indefinitely where the only way for them to get out of it is to either turn around or back up. This is called combo locking. Good spacing is when you're able to hit your opponent and they aren't able to hit you back because you're outside of their range of reach. The maximum distance you can hit another player is 3 blocks away, so you want to try and make sure that you're as close as possible to 3 blocks away from them with every hit. To maintain this 3 block distance, you want to pause your movement for the right amount of time while you're sprint resetting. If you're W tapping, you want to let go of W for long enough that you don't enter the other player's range of reach when you attack them, but don't let it go for too long or else you'll hit them out of the combo. If you're getting too close to your opponent, you can also S tap as well to distance yourself a little bit. Making sure you have good spacing from your
That's the
opponent is a
difference
little bit
between S
difficult
tapping
and
and
it
W
involves a lot of
tapping.
timing, but something that can help you a lot is using the reach display mod that's in Lunar Client. This mod will show you exactly how far the other player is
No
from
one is
you
gonna
when you
use
attack them,
TS,
so you
bro.
can use this mod to practice getting hits that are as close as possible to 3 blocks away from the other player.
In a world clouded by chaos, where vision breaks down and danger hides in the dark,
Yep.
seeing
Crit style.
For most of this video, I've talked about sprint resetting and comboing, but that's not all that it takes to get good at PvP. Crit hits are super important in Minecraft PvP, and depending on what game mode you're playing, will determine whether you win or lose a fight. Getting multiple consecutive crit hits on your opponent is called crit chaining, and this is an easy way to shred through another player's health. Remember that to be able to crit hit someone, you need to stop your sprint, and you usually do this by releasing W when you hit them. With that being said, there is a way to crit hit another player while still sprinting. Remember when I said when sprint hitting, only your first hit will be a sprint hit unless you sprint reset? If you sprint hit someone and you don't release W or sprint reset, you'll be able to crit hit someone while still sprinting and holding W.
I think
To
that's
do
how
this,
Austin does it. Because Austin's really good at that.
start sprinting and sprint hit someone, but don't release your W key or sprint reset. From there, jump and hit another player while you're falling, and you'll be able to get a crit hit. Because you're holding W and still sprinting, you'll be able to strafe around your opponent more while crit hitting them, and it'll be harder for them to knock you away. Another technique you can do is called crit punishing. Basically, whenever someone attacks you, it sends you up into the air a little bit, and if you hit them as you're falling down, you'll do a crit hit to them. This can work against any type of attack, but usually doesn't work that well against sprint hits, since a sprint hit usually knocks you too far away for this technique to work. Crit hits, on the other hand, don't deal that much knockback, so you can use this technique to consistently crit hit another person that's crit hitting you, hence the name crit punishing. You can also combine this technique with an added crit hit. To do this, jump, crit hit your opponent, hold W as they hit you, and crit punish them after they hit you. This is called double critting. If your opponent is crit hitting you and you're trying to sprint hit them away, don't hit them at the same time as they are hitting you. If you do this, you won't deal enough knockback to them since you're hitting them while they're still in the air, and this will let them crit spam you. Instead, wait until after they crit hit you and they've landed from their jump, and then sprint hit them. This will deal much more
Notice how I sprint hit my opponent slightly. Oh.
knockback to them and will prevent your opponent from crit spamming you, and this can enable you to get a combo on them. Crit hits can be very powerful, but are still counterable. The best way to counter crit hits are to crit punish or with a well-timed sprint hit. Be cautious not to crit too much, because a poorly timed jump could get you comboed very easily against someone who knows what they're doing, and knowing the correct situation to sprint hit as opposed to crit hit someone is essential to becoming a good PvPer.
If you start using this one free tool to make your videos, you'll never feel bad about spending $10 on an iced coffee. TikTok Studio is that girl. It's made making content so much easier thanks to a new suite of editing tools, simple analytics, built-in ways to grow and track your
6'7"? Did you guys see that? It said 6'7". 6'7". Advanced. I'm not advanced.
Alright, so for this section, I'm gonna let my friend Sharpness explain 2 advanced tips that you can do in Minecraft PvP. Sharpness is an insane PvPer, and he has a YouTube channel where he uploads some really cool videos, so make sure to check him out. With that being said, I'll go ahead and let Sharpness take it over from here.
Hello everyone, it's Connection from the
Hi,
Sharpness
Sharpie,
YouTube
Warpie.
channel, and I will be showing you some additional PvP tricks that you can learn and implement in the latest version of combat, which are going to help you get significantly better. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so now for the first additional PvP trick, we have jump resetting. To jump reset, you want to press your spacebar at the same time when your opponent hits you, which is gonna make you take significantly less knockback. You don't have to worry, guys. There is multiple ways to counter it, and I'm going to show you one of the basic ways. You have to predict when they're about to jump and delay your hit. By delaying your hit, it makes your opponent mistime their jump, which is gonna cause them to get knocked back even further. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys another really overpowered technique that makes your knockback literally go away. In the latest version, we call this the no knockback critting. To perform this technique, after you crit someone, hold W and wait for them to hit you. And when you get hit by your opponent, your knockback will be reduced almost completely. I want to add a disclaimer that this only works if your opponent hits you instantly after you crit them, so do not rely or overuse this technique a lot because it can result in you getting comboed.
Okay, Poppy Sharpness, I got
That is pretty much it. Realistically, this video is only scratching the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Minecraft PvP. Item utilization, depending on what game mode you're playing, will complete.
Good video, guys. Here's my outro. Alright, how do I do this outro? Thanks for watching, friends. Have a good one.